I am keenly aware of the fears and the frustrations of the world in which we live. It is all too easy, isn't it, to play on these emotions? But I do not intend to do so. I do not intend to appeal to fear, but rather to hope.
While the parallels between the 1968 DNC and this year's are clear, the differences may be even more important. Joining me now to talk more about this is Lindsay Chervinsky. She's the executive director of the George Washington Presidential Library and author of Making the Presidency, John Adams and the Precedents That Forged the Public. Great to have you with us this morning, Lindsay. I want to start by asking you about the sound we just heard of Humphrey accepting the Democratic presidential nomination. How did he address conflicts at the time versus how we're seeing Vice President Harris's messaging about conflicts and protests now? He mentioned not playing into fears.
Yeah, well, I think, as you noted, there are a number of similarities between this moment, but I think the differences are equally as important. The protests in 1868 were over the Vietnam War, and that conflict had obviously been going on for quite some time. The protests were enormous in scale and really encompassed huge sections of the American public. And Humphrey really had trouble distancing himself from the administration because it had been such a central part of the administration's policy. I think Harris has been quite notable in that she has intentionally changed her tone. She has met with some of the protesters ahead of time, and she has also occasionally taken a firm line when they have interrupted her in the past. And I think a couple of these key intentional choices, while not necessarily changing policy, have shifted her emphasis, and suggests to me that she's very much learned from the 1968 example.
And to that point, I'm wondering what else you think people should consider in realizing 2024 is not 1968. I guess specifically when it comes to party unity might be one major example.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, certainly the Democratic Party did look quite divided just a couple of months ago, but I think many of those divisions were really about Biden and Biden's ability to continue to campaign. And the thing that people were most concerned about was his age, which of course is not a transferable quality, like, for example, LBJ's policy in Vietnam could be transferred to Hubert Humphrey. And I think the other key difference is in 1968, the Democrats were running against Richard Nixon. And Richard Nixon, in our memories, has become a little bit of a bogeyman, but he wasn't really at the time. He was a Republican, of course, he was their opponent, but he wasn't this super dangerous figure. And I think today, Democrats see Trump as something that needs to be defeated, and it requires a great deal of unity, and they're willing to put aside most of those differences in order to achieve that goal.
And wasn't there a change in how the delegate nomination process unfolded post 1968 that kind of helps protect against some of the same challenges now?
Yes, the delegate process has changed over the years as, increasingly it's become clear that conventions are no longer the place where these decisions are made. So, for example, this year there was the virtual roll call ahead of time. So Harris has already, for all intents and purposes, clinched the nomination. And I think a lot of those efforts to make it more smooth, to make it more cohesive, as that's been done over time, has been to prevent some of the internal bickering and fighting, which was fine when you didn't have television, but when you do have television, can be a really unpleasant thing and not necessarily put forward the right image that you want the country to take away.
Well, Lindsay Chervinsky, thanks so much for walking us through all this so our viewers can sound smart when they chat with their friends this week. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.